Here with Concordia head track and field coach Matt Beisel to preview the upcoming indoor season. As we record this, not far from the early bird meet, which has sort of been the kickoff to track and field season for the last several years now. Recently you were in Columbia, Missouri for the end of cross country and nationals there. How satisfied were you, I guess, to start with kind of the progress that you saw from the distance runners as they try to kind of build on that going into indoor season?
Yeah, well, I feel like we had a very successful season overall. Didn't get everything we wanted, but some really, really good things happened from both a team dynamic and culture standpoint, but also from accomplishing a lot of goals. We came up just short, 2 votes short, 2 places short of our guys getting an at-large bid, which was a little disappointing, but we ended up having 2 guys go first and second at conference, which was really hard to do, and that was Vaughn Hendrickson, a freshman from Indiana, and also Trey Robertson, a sophomore from Wallace, Nebraska. And then my daughter, Keegan, got 9th overall and made it to nationals as well, which is her first individual qualifier. And so when you have individual qualifiers, you're obviously not shooting for a team title. It's more about, can I just put out a great performance? And if you're at the level where maybe we could get All-American, how cool would that be? Vaughn and Trey both are there. And Vaughn accomplished it. He got 36th, top 40, make all conference. He ran an all-time personal best, 10 seconds faster than his best, averaged a 4:54 mile pace, ran a 24:37 in the 8K, which is, he came through the 5K at a 15:12 and ended up running the race of his life and walked away with an All-American plaque. Trey Robertson probably would have been right there with him. I absolutely believe it. They were finishing neck and neck in most of their races this year, and unfortunately, Trey came down with a really bad cold the day that we left, and it affected him, and he gave it an incredibly noble effort. He still came through the 5K at 15:30, but at that level, that's the difference between 36th place and 99th place. That's what he got. And then my daughter Keegan had a very solid day. She wasn't able to get the training she wanted over the summer because of an injury in her knee, and so she came into the fall pretty much like, we're going to get what we get. And I think both of us were just happy she was able to run well enough to make it to nationals, and she had a pretty solid race there. Nothing spectacular, but something that we both feel good about. So I think you take those 3 coming into track, they're going to be an immediate impact group, but you also have a lot of other distance runners who will also help us with our team scoring potential and our team environment when you add in all the other events.
I was going to ask how it sort of translates to indoor track. Certainly, if Vaughn kind of continues this trajectory, I'm sure you expect some good things from him throughout track season as well.
Yeah, Trey and Vaughn have both really gotten better since a year before, and I think both Trey and Vaughn could potentially break our school record in the 5K. I think both of them could qualify for nationals in the mile all the way up through the 5K. And I think Keegan, if she can stay healthy, has a chance of making individual qualifier in the 5K. And so, but we have other people too who are going to come in. I mean, Trevor Kunsel has had a lot of good things happen, and he's had a few ups and downs, but I think we've gotten those figured out. He's a big impact player, and there's other guys and girls who are right there with him.
Certainly in the fall, your focus is I think number 1 on cross country, but I know it's kind of a key month for training and development for track and field as well. What are your impressions of kind of what's been accomplished this fall across the board within the program?
Yeah, I've been paying really close attention to our fall track group. They start about when we do. They have their first practices starting September 1st. And they practice 5 days a week, and they get a lot of work done. They're working in the weight room, they're running, they're jumping, they're throwing. And I think there's been, and again, I feel like the last couple of years have been pretty good, but I think we all agree as a staff and also talking with the athletes themselves, that the group of freshmen we brought in combined with the returners is probably the most like fired up team environment I can remember having. And we did a lot of team building stuff through the fall, so that the distance runners and the throwers and the jumpers and the sprinters and everybody were able to connect together. We did a lot of fun stuff, and I got a lot of feedback from athletes in every event group saying that they really felt connected with the group. So I think that lays the groundwork for all of us really being able to know we've got teammates we're doing this for as we head into the conference championships and then nationals. And again, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of different events with over 160 kids on the team. So, it's almost impossible without just a huge list of going, oh, here's all the people that could be impact players. But I do feel like we are poised for a really good start coming out of the starting block, so to speak, when we have our early bird in a week and a half. And obviously the goal is at that meet to get as many national qualifying marks or nationally relevant marks as possible before Christmas break, when they've had 3 months of training. And I talked to Jackson Lipker, who's a freshman high jumper, and he's like, oh, all I've been doing is training. I'm so ready to go compete. And I think that's where everybody's at. And I think the cross country kids are like, ooh, now we get to do something different, and they're excited about trying some different events. And again, some of these freshmen have never done indoor, so it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Wanted to take a look at both the men and women's teams a little bit. The men placed in the top 10 nationally, indoor and outdoor, in 2024. I know a couple, there's some key guys that are no longer here that were part of that, but how do you kind of capitalize on that success and build off what the men were able to do last year?
Yeah, it's interesting. Our guys have been building momentum for years, and we've been just consistently coming in. We got second once in the last 5 years, but we've been like third place against some really good teams. And for us to be, the funny thing is we go to nationals and we beat some of the teams that beat us at conference. We want to do both. and so, one of our goals, our main goal is to glorify Christ in all we do and say as a team, but another one of our goals from a performance standpoint is to win conference for both men and women, and to place top 10 and ideally top 4 and get a trophy at nationals. And to have our guys get 8th at indoor nationals and 7th at outdoor nationals was a big thing. Our outdoor conference, we were as close to getting second place as we've been in years. We put a lot of points on the board. And so again, just looking at some notes that I took on the men's side, we do lose Chris Wren, Zach Zoner, Darian Semedo, Calvin Rohde, Joel Raffy, Brady Clutie. Those were all heavy hitters at the conference and the national level. But we do return some really, really talented guys. Connor Ashe and Nathan Baldwin, Matthew Boyer, a lot of the distance guys, Josiah Edwards. These are all throwers, and then you throw in some of our sprinter, hurdler, jumpers, and I think we've got some really good guys coming back. And then we had a very talented freshman class come in. Easton Freeze from Chase County is set the state meet record in the 300 hurdles for his division this last year. He's going to be an immediate asset to our 4x4, and also he's going to help us, in the hurdles. But he's one of multiples, and they are fired up and ready to go. One thing I love to hear, I do individual meetings with all 160 plus of the track kids during each semester, and just sit down for 15 minutes and what's going on with your life, and it's been super fruitful to have these conversations and just do more than just a fist bump in practice, which is what happens when you're coaching a different group. And what I've heard from the upperclassmen, guys, sprinters, jumpers, and hurdlers is these freshmen are pushing us hard, and we love it. And so I think there's a really high level of expectation of moving up in the conference from what we've been doing, and hopefully being able to be in that top 10 position again at the national level.
And on the women's side, of course, the string of conference championships continues. It was very close outdoor, but got it done. I suppose the roster is going to look a little bit different. Some people that, if you followed the program, who earned a lot of All-America awards are graduated from last year. But what do you sense is maybe the motivation, especially knowing that it was a close conference meet last year, but how do you see things coming along, and what maybe excites you about developing those next athletes that are ready to move into maybe a bigger spotlight?
Yes, I think we are going to need some people to step up, but everyone is developing. I think we've enjoyed and have not taken for granted the 11 consecutive conference titles on the women's side, but we almost got gotten by Doane, and they've definitely been building their program and have gotten some good kids in there. It is not a certain thing that we're going to walk in with a conference title in indoor, and it's very possible that they could beat us. We are going to do everything in our power to keep that from happening. And again, you're correct. We lose some of the key women who are not returning, who have been All-Americans and conference champions, or people like Jenna Esch, Kylan Freiberg, Riley Hacker, Jordan Kepke, Amira Cummings, Emma Lloyd, Julie McIntyre, Cam McCorney, Josie Pells, Kelly Rhodes, and Amy Richard. I mean, those are some heavy hitters. Those are legendary athletes who have left a huge legacy here at Concordia. But we return a whole bunch of great people in all the different event areas, and I don't have time to list them all. But then you throw in another group of really talented freshmen. We had a number of freshman girl distance runners: Allison Stepanek, Lydia Edmonds, Annika Staub, and Annika Schlachter, all really make huge gains from high school, even in their fall cross-country season. They're going to be impact players and scorers at conference. We also, now Keegan wasn't a factor in outdoor because we redshirted her, and so it's like, if she's healthy, she's going to do some damage. And then you've got Addison McCarter. Addison was the state champion in the 200 this last year. She was state runner-up in the 400. She was state runner-up in the triple jump, going 38 feet almost. And so she's a person who is going to be a huge impact player, both for our relays and individual events. But she's got a whole slew of female throwers, jumpers, hurdlers, vaulters who are also there with her, who all came in as freshman transfers this year. And I mean, I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic. We're gonna have to stay healthy, and we're gonna know a lot more after early bird about what both the men and the women are gonna shape up like. But it's too early to tell how that's gonna be compared to the other teams.
And Adriana Redenzel's somebody who's very accomplished, and I think it felt like a nanosecond away from being an All-American indoor and outdoor.
She was really frustrated with that, which is understandable. She's a competitor and takes it pretty seriously, but she's just been getting better and better. And again, I mean, Kayla Swoboda was right there with her in the hurdles, and Kayla had a huge breakthrough in the hurdles for us last year, and I think she's really working some things out with the pole vault as well. So the two of them, you're right, we could keep listing names of people, but I've been talking with Ed about some of his female throwers, and they're making huge gains. I feel like they're going to be able to do some damage as well. So, I mean, every event you look at, I mean, we're returning Josie Noble and Zoe Walker and some of these people who made big impacts in the multis. So it'll be a lot of fun to see. That's the cool thing about this is it's like playing chess, but with humans that have emotions and feelings and a life outside of practice, and they have certain capabilities. And it's just ultimately a God thing as to, can we keep them all healthy and help them to develop as people and as individuals as we move forward with the season.
Well, since it is indoor season, I thought maybe we would quickly look back. What are the lasting memories you have from just that 4x8 national championship last year? I'm sure it's maybe one of the bigger thrills that's happened from a results standpoint. since you've been a coach here?
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I still have a big picture of them up on my screensaver, and 4 incredible women, Jenna and Riley, Kylan and Julie, who put things together and were able to run a school record 906, win the national title, and then that helped us to get 3rd at nationals. That was one of the pieces that came into play, and it was a lot of fun. Now, downside is we graduated all 4 of them, so we're going to miss that, but I'm so proud of them all, and very grateful that we got to have them here for the time that we did.
Like your thoughts on everybody will be experiencing a different venue going to indoor nationals in Gainesville.
Yeah.
How do you prepare when it's, I guess, new surroundings? It is a little ways away, but
Yeah.
that'll be an experience that hopefully quite a few athletes from Concordia get to have.
Yeah, that's the hope. It's Gainesville, Florida. They have an event center with a banked 200-meter track like over at Bob Devaney Center at UNL, and we've been going through and gaming out kind of who we think potential likely qualifiers are and things like that, and we could take anywhere from 20 to 30 athletes depending on how many relays we get in, and it's going to be cool. Again, Brookings has been great. 300-meter track has been a lot of fun, and they've done a great job. But it's South Dakota in February, and going to Gainesville, I think, is going to be, even though our number one focus is going to be on performing well to the best of our ability, and hopefully winning trophies and making All-American. It's going to be neat for some of the kids who've never been out of the Midwest to head down there and for them to experience the different temperatures and the plants and the animals. And I mean, it's cool. I don't know if we'll have any time to do any fun stuff. We're in Tallahassee, who knows, but I think it's going to be a cool experience and looks like a great venue. I think we're there for sure this year and next year. From what I was talking with Samantha Walker, who's the head of the NAIA recently, and she said they have the option of doing it for a 3rd year, but that remains to be determined. So, I think it could be a really cool destination spot for a really outstanding national championship.
Well, the first meet will be the early bird, as you talked about a little bit already, and the hope, as you said, is to get some national marks on the board right away. But anything else you're kind of looking for from this to get out of this first meet?
I think there's 2 things we shoot for at every single meet. One of those is to hit national qualifiers. Like you said, last year we got 18 automatic qualifiers out of our early bird, which was probably our biggest ever. And at the same time, we also want to have kids, when they've been training for 3 months, and then they're going to be gone for 3.5 weeks training on their own, and sometimes northern Nebraska or who knows where, and they're not going to have the same quality of training, and so we're always a little rusty when we come back. So I think we want to put all of the months of training to its best effect before we take off for break, and then it'll take a couple weeks to get rolling and hit our stride again once we get back, which is always what happens. And I'd like to just get some numbers, at the national level. The other thing is we're always looking for hitting some good seed marks for conference, getting kids ranked high so they get good heats at the conference level, and this is the start of that.
And lastly, any final thoughts that you'd want to add going into track season?
I mean, it's pretty standard with me. Like, this is all a God thing. And I lift this team up in prayer. I go through my list. I pray for the kids. I pray for the coaches and their families. Like, we draw breath because God allows us to. We move we contract a muscle fiber because God allows us to do that. So anything that happens is ultimately by God's good grace, and so I very much acknowledge that. It's a very humbling thing to think about, like this really large group of people, all these moving pieces, and trying to create an amazing experience for them, both from a team standpoint, but also to see them develop and be able to accomplish things. And so, I've said this a million times, but we give glory to God no matter what the outcome. He's the one who gives us all good things, and so I really am, giving this up to Him when it comes to everything that we hope to accomplish.